As designers, we pour our hearts and souls into our work, trying to create meaningful experiences that leave a lasting impact. But what if I told you that the biggest impact of your career could come from projects that you pursue outside of your 9 to 5? It could be a random idea that you just can't shake, or a new skill that you want to learn, or just frustration with the status quo. All of these are triggers that can lead to your next side project. Throughout the last 2 decades of my career, I've come to believe that the projects we work on and the things that we create outside of our day job have the power to shape our lives in ways we could never imagine. Side projects can fuel our growth. They can give us a platform to express our true creativity, and they can open doors that we never knew existed. But there is a catch. The journey of a side project is not for the faint of heart. It's a roller coaster ride filled with emotion, twists, and turns that'll make you question everything. And today, I want to take you on that journey. I want to show you how one side project influenced millions of people. And I want to show you how another side project commanded the interest of an industry giant. And I want to show you how, through side projects, sharing your work through side projects can help you build a lasting brand and a legacy. But most importantly, I want to help you see the potential that lies within you. Because when you pursue your passion projects, you're not just building something tangible, you're building a new version of yourself. And that is the most exciting project of all. Back in 2013, I attended a conference called Circles, and I listened to a guy named Matt Stevens, a designer and an illustrator, share his side project. It was called Max 100, and he decided to draw his favorite sneaker, the Nike Air Max 1, 100 different times with unique illustrations, and he put them all into a book on Kickstarter, and it completely sold out. And as if that wasn't impressive enough, Nike caught wind, and they put his designs with their shoes and limited edition drops of their sneakers. And as I sat there, I was incredibly inspired. And it made me think about my own little side project at the time. A half-baked idea for a mobile app that would simplify the process of listing things for sale on Craigslist. Not the most exciting project in the world, but this is what I had to work with. At the time, my wife and I had 3 kids and way too many toys in the house. I'm talking exercisers, swings, the whole 9 yards. And I needed to make room. We needed to get rid of a bunch of stuff. And every time I wanted to sell something, and this is before Facebook Marketplace, mind you, I had to go through this multi-step process of taking pictures, putting it on my computer, uploading it to the website, going through this form every single time, and I was super frustrated. And I thought, there's got to be a better way than this. So I convinced my developer friend, Adam, that scraping web data from Craigslist and turning it into an iOS app was a good idea. And I also challenged myself to put all of this form, cram it into a tiny iPhone screen with the keyboard showing. At the time, I was rocking the iPhone 4. iPhone 15, for comparison, a little more room. So I had about 225 pixels to work with here, but I was convinced I could make this work. Because I was so frustrated with this long process, I just wanted to simplify. So just like my house had no room for all these toys, I didn't have room to spare in this app design. So as I sat on the plane, inspired by the Max 100 side project, I fired open my laptop, and I started designing and animating, and I came up with something that I thought was pretty cool. It saved space, it maintained usability, and I decided to post it to Dribbble. To my absolute surprise, this thing took off. Hundreds of thousands of views, most popular shot of the day. People were commenting, liking, sharing, and pretty soon the float label pattern was born. People started blogging about it, People started sharing their perspective on it and also how they might implement this on their own website. Not everyone loved it. That was okay. But a year later, Google decides to release their first version of material design system. And they included the floating labels, cementing it as a viable option for all forums in the future. Woohoo! Since then, this has permeated the entire World Wide Web. You can now find this on Apple, on Shopify, on PayPal, thousands of others. Many of you may have had arguments with your developers about implementing this very pattern. So the next time you see a label that floats up as you start typing, go ahead and send me a donation. I'm gonna put my Venmo stuff on the next slide. Because I didn't earn any money from this, and that was never the point. I did this because I was frustrated because I was trying to sell toys on Craigslist. That was the goal. What started as a small, tiny little experiment ended up influencing the way millions of people are now experiencing forums online. And it's a reminder that side projects, now, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, they have the potential to make a real, tangible impact on the world. About 5 years before the whole float label thing, I had my first big idea for a side project. My wife and I were pretty fresh off of our first home buying experience. And this was pre-Zillow. Shout out to Jenny, if you were here for that talk. And I found myself, again, incredibly frustrated with the state of real estate websites. Every single virtual tour was a clunky slideshow set to cheesy piano music. And I found it disgusting. And I thought, there's got to be a better way. So I decided I'm going to create a real estate app and call it Lockbox. Sorry for the grainy photo here, but in 2008, this was actually high res. This was the first time I convinced my developer friend Adam to build something with me. So we got to work, and we spent all the time that we could possibly gather aside from our day job building this app, thinking this is just, when we get this done, whew, it's going to be good. So we also built an iPhone app. It was the very first iPhone app I'd ever designed, very first one he had ever developed. The App Store wasn't even the App Store until this year. This would allow real estate agents to take pictures of their property and upload it directly to the website. And I know that now this sounds like the most basic app you've ever heard of in your life, but in 2008, we were onto something here. So we put in a bunch of late nights. We did a ton of work. Oh, and by the way, my mom was also a realtor at the time, and I thought, at the very least, she could be our guinea pig for this. So there we were. We had done all this work, all those late nights, all that passion into this project. We get ready to launch, and we just wait for the users to flood in. 0 people signed up. Well, 1 if you count my mom. This was a failure, right? Yes. According to the technical definition, this was a failure. But this project was the very first time I had ever thought through the entire process of an app, onboarding in different states. I did wireframes, I did mobile designs, and it gave me this crash course in mobile design that I didn't previously have. And a month or so later, I found myself in a meeting with an agency that was considering hiring me for a mobile project to redesign the AT&T Uverse mobile app. And they said, we noticed you had mobile experience, because you better believe I put that lockbox in my portfolio. And I said, yes, I do have mobile experience. And I showed them all the wireframes, all the designs. And they were impressed because there weren't a lot of people that had mobile experience back in 2008. And guess who had just come walking in the door? They ended up hiring me for that project. And what started as a small little pilot project ended up turning into a big 3 to 6 month project. And that kickstarted the next phase of my career, where I got hired again and again to make these mobile apps, iPad apps, and responsive web apps, and more mobile apps, and on and on. And pretty soon, my mobile experience from my failed side project just became mobile experience. And I kept at it and kept at it. And it's a good reminder that the value of side projects doesn't often come immediately, but in the opportunities that it creates and the personal growth that it ignites. Side projects can be a catalyst for personal and professional transformation. So not long after the Float Label experience, I felt empowered and motivated to share more about my design process online. So I started writing more, I started blogging, and I had this one blog post in particular that really took off. And I was outlining my process for how I organized my wireframes and how I presented it to clients. And on a hunch, I created a little wireframing kit, and I sold it online. I made my first dollar online, and my mind was blown at this possibility. This led to people asking even more about my process, and so I thought, I'm gonna create a course about this. So in 2015, I created AI UX, ahead of its time. No, this is not artificial intelligence. This was Adobe Illustrator for UX design, specifically for the systematic process of designing wireframes across multiple devices. A process I felt like I had mastered, so naturally I needed to teach everyone who was interested about it. And I had a little bit of success with this course back in 2015. I had some success stories, and I almost fell out of my chair when I got an email from this guy. I had people told me that they had their UX career got kickstarted because of this course. And it made decent money. Like, not quit your day job money, but it was not bad. And I thought, man, I might need to take this more seriously. I had creative freedom, I was building skills, I was feeling fulfilled. But just as I got all excited about the future of AI UX, Sketch comes along and takes over the design world, and seemingly everyone, including me, ditched Adobe for this new interface design tool. And I couldn't keep promoting AI UX, even though I was super excited about it, super excited about the thought of teaching and doing things in addition to client work. And I spent way too much time on this AI UX project. It was a side project, but I was hoping it could potentially become more than that. And I got dangerously low on cash. And now that Sketch had come out and I had switched, I had to pull the plug. Like a year of work, again, failure. And I said to myself, you know what? I am never making a course about software again. Never. So I doubled down on client work, and just as I was getting really, really good at Sketch, Figma comes along with its cool new collaborative features and its online capabilities. And even though I vowed to never make a course about software again, I broke my own rule earlier this year and released Figma 101, 12 fast-paced videos to teach you how to use Figma for free. Today I learned I've got to redo all of that. And I know that all of you have already mastered Figma, but for your friend that doesn't know anything about it, you can send them this link. It's probably going to have some old interface designs in the videos. So there I was. I had pulled the plug on AI UX. I decided to double down on my client work because things just got kind of scary. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that again. If I do this again, I'm going to be more calculated. But I couldn't shake this idea for a new way to teach design that would be even better, something that would be fundamental, foundational principles. And so as I was doing client work, I started sharing more, teaching more, started speaking at conferences, teaching workshops, sharing everything that I could. And I came up with this idea for something that could stand the test of time, and I wanted to build this new brand that I could put all of my educational stuff underneath. I called it Shift and Nudge. And over the next 2 years, juggling all the things, I got to work on this. This is kind of a picture of what those next 2 years looked like. Lots of ups and downs. When the house was quiet and my thoughts were loud, I'm thinking to myself, am I making the right decision by working on this thing? Am I risking my family's financial stability for another side project? Haven't I already been burned by this one time? And the weight of responsibility was heavy, but we had been more calculated this time. I had saved up more money, I had done research, and I had a lot of work done on this. I was getting ready to launch it. And then I got news that my dad was hospitalized with a life-threatening illness right before I was going to launch. I was already doubting myself. I was already questioning everything. But now this was filling me with new worry, new fear, new anxiety, and I didn't know what to do. So for the next 3 months of uncertainty, he finally did start treatment, and although his recovery wasn't full, it was no longer life-threatening. So I pressed on. I put my head down, despite the emotional toll that it took on me, my lack of focus. I just knew that I could just sense there was some kind of change on the horizon, and I had to finish this. I felt compelled to finish pursuing my vision. So I changed the name to Shift Nudge because I forgot the password to the first Instagram account. So I had everything ready to go. I had all 80,000 words written, 80 videos recorded and edited, design files, downloads, homework exercises. I ran an early private beta group, lots of success. I had everything ready to go, ready for what I thought could be the biggest moment of my career. Let's launch this thing. I can't launch a course in the middle of COVID. So at this point, I was officially crushed. I had been telling clients, no, I'm not available for the last 6 months. And when you send emails like that, they stop emailing you. So the one silver lining here was that I could use this time to double down on the existing beta students, and I ran another second private cohort, and I just put my head down, helping everyone in the course, making lots of critique videos, trying to make this as good as it could possibly be. And so finally, in the fall of 2020, after all of this struggle, all of these doubts, I launch it. And it was fantastic. It was amazing. I couldn't believe I'd finally put this out into the world. My ambitious side project that I thought that I would never finish, the one that I constantly questioned if I was good enough, and the one that I was worried would be a giant failure, my side project, has now become my full-time project and my exclusive focus for the last 4 years. We've trained 4,000 students through Shift Nudge. And it's been the absolute honor of a lifetime to hear feedback like this. People sending their teams through Shift Nudge and individuals signing up as well. This project has been absolutely life-changing for me, and I truly feel like I found what is a calling. None of this would have been possible without stacking all of these side projects. And while the journey was far from easy, it was worth every moment of uncertainty and doubt. The projects outside of my client work gave me the skills and the resilience to take on this challenge. And I can see how the past projects taught me valuable lessons about creativity, perseverance, and the power of sharing my own work. These projects not only shaped my career, but they transformed me as a person as well. You can see a lot more of these stories on this URL. So these seemingly inconsequential side projects, they're opportunities to learn, experiment, and they give us the freedom to explore new ideas and discover our true potential. And that's the thing with with side projects. You have full creative control. There's no client preferences. There's no deadlines. There's no coworkers to argue with. You get to decide what you put out into the world. It might be a drawing of a shoe. It might be a new take on a form. Or it might be something that gives you new experience, but it ends up transforming your career. But it's not all rainbows and lollipops. Most side projects will fail. You'll pour everything you have into an idea only to watch it fizzle out and die. Kind of like my Figma 101 course. You'll face moments of uncertainty and doubt, and you'll question why you ever started in the first place. But here's a secret that no one ever tells you. Those failures, they're not just inevitable, they're invaluable. Looking back, we can see how each of these failures, no matter how painful, are often a critical piece of our puzzle. Those missteps, they were the lessons we needed to learn and the resilience we needed to build to continue our journey. So don't wait for permission. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Your next side project could be the key to unlocking your next big opportunity. So embrace the failure, celebrate the flops, and trust that every stumble is one step closer towards success. Your next side project might not change the world, but it might just change your world. And that is a journey worth taking. Thank you.